All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, today we are going to talk about sleep. And this has to be absolutely one of the number one things that you have to have in order to fundamentally be healthy. What we do know is that not only does bad sleep have negative outcomes long term for either the appearance or progression of other chronic diseases like high blood pressure, heart disease, you name it. But there's also some evidence that maybe links to shorter lifespan. And unfortunately, what we see way too often is that when we're talking to patients, we try and correct all these other things. You work really, really hard to get your diet right, your exercise right, to live right. And a lot of times, it's really hard. It's like walking uphill, carrying a boulder on your back if you don't have good sleep. So a lot of times we should refocus our energy to put sleep back at the beginning and consider that the fundamental step to make all these other things better and maybe even make all those things easier. So today we're going to talk about how you can get a better night's sleep to reset your life and get you back on track to be doing the things that you need to do. A lot of times when you go to the doctor, we start talking about sleep and we immediately talk about what have you tried at night? Whether that's thinking about something or taking a pill. But really what we should be doing is framing the conversation is what are you doing the first thing in the morning? It's vital to be getting outside, getting some fresh air, some sunlight first thing in the morning to give your body the clue that you are tuned into the natural circadian rhythm that you're supposed to be having in order to make sure that later in the day, your body's easier to recognize it's nighttime. A lot of people have a dog. If you have a dog, you got to go outside. You got to walk the dog. You got to put the dog on the leash. Whatever you got to do, stand outside for a couple minutes. Take a couple deep breaths, get some air, and let that sunshine hit your face. And believe it or not, that may help you throughout the day. And then as we move into the morning hours, we're talking more about caffeinated beverages are fine. They're going to help you stay awake, get you going in the morning. They certainly have an effect on productivity. But even if you think that the caffeine is not bothering you, if you have a sleep issue in the evening, we need to talk about bringing that caffeine intake to a halt really about lunchtime. You really shouldn't be having caffeine in the afternoon, at least not past 2 o'clock, if you're having sleep troubles. Now, if it really isn't bothering you, it's probably no big deal. But if you say, I can't go to sleep at night, I'm waking up a lot at night, we need to look at the caffeine intake and move it to at least before lunch, if not totally eliminating it, depending on how sensitive you are. And as we move into the afternoon, have a nice dinner, and then as we start trying to wind into bedtime, it's going to be later now because of the time change. You want to make sure that you not have too much artificial light in the house. You want to start having windows open and being in tune with when that sun starts going down. And start putting yourself a filter on your phone for blue light or locking off the screen time at a certain hour or saying no screens past, you pick the time. But it needs to be several hours before bedtime so your brain is not getting that stimulus that it's possibly daytime outside when it's not. That's what that blue light and that screen is doing. And it's going to disrupt your sleep pattern. They make all kinds of cool things now. These glasses, blue light blockers that may help you during the day. Certainly can set the filter on your phone. Got to get that blue light out. And but that's how I relax at night, TV. I love television. But you just want to make sure you're giving some sort of period of time after that. And speaking of TV, this is the biggest tip I talk about almost every week with somebody. People say, I have a problem sleeping. I wake up a lot during the night. I don't feel rested. And one of my questions always is there TV in the bedroom? And inevitably, the answer is more frequently than you would think, yes, there is a TV in the bedroom, but it's off. What's the big deal? This is just like some of the data that's coming out now about cell phones being in the bedroom. Even if they're on airplane mode or silent and you know you're not going to get a call or a text in the middle of the night, you say, I'm just using my phone for an alarm. Your brain knows that it's over there. And there's such a connection between our brains and these screens that there's a chance that it's sending you this subconscious signal to say, hey, you need to wake up and check this screen a little bit. And it's the same way with the TV. So if you have a TV in the bedroom, you have to pull it out of the bedroom if you've got sleep problems and see if that makes a difference. It may not, but I would hate for you to leave it in there and continue to have issues. The bedroom is for two things, sex and sleep. And if there's a television in there, if you do your homework or you're working from home or your home office is in your bedroom, your brain gets entirely confused. So then by the time you hit that mattress, your body says, I do a lot of things in this room. So we want to make sure that all the distractions are out of there. While we're on the topic of setting up an ideal sleep room, we need to talk about several things. One of them is temperature. You need to have a nice, cool room. Some of the literature says maybe 63 to 67 degrees. I know that that's not a reasonable goal for my electricity bill in the summertime, but trying to get somewhere to 65 degrees and at least having a cool space would be a reasonable idea to assure a nice restorative sleep all night long. You want to have a nice dark room, have a nice calm, warming, dark color on the walls. Go out and buy some paint. It may pay off. It may pay dividends. If you can find some blackout curtains, that's probably the best thing to do. They're real easy. They're really good, and you wouldn't believe how much kind of distracting noise, depending on where you live, and light coming through those windows. So make sure that you're setting up an optimal sleep environment. Some people do think that part of that equation is getting a sound machine, some natural relaxing sounds. A lot of people are having really good success with there's some apps now. Of course, there's machines. They got all kinds of colors noise, white noise, pink noise. I heard some green noise. So whatever helps for you, kind of reset the mind, relax, whether that's solfeggio sounds. Make sure that if you've not tried those things for sleep, see if that helps. What we're trying to do is just take the brain, relax a little bit. The number one thing that I hear from patients that says, I can't sleep, is because they can't turn their mind off at night. They lay down and they start thinking about everything all the time, everything that happened today, everything that's going to happen tomorrow. And sometimes you just need a little bit of, I'll use the word meditative space. And it's not saying that you have to meditate, but there's a process of unwinding that requires a healthy amount of distraction, focusing in the moment. Sometimes that's noise. Sometimes that's a sleep app. Sometimes that's people listening to podcasts. But anything to take your mind off of these active thoughts that should not be there when you need to just kind of start turning the volume down and go to sleep. So now that brings us to the subject of supplements. And obviously, you need to ask your doctor. But there's lots of supplements available now. They're super easy, almost too easy, right? You can get in trouble taking a bunch of these things over the counter if you don't know what they do. So that's why you always have to ask your doctor. But if we work from kind of vitamins and minerals, natural occurring things, to some supplements, into sleep drugs, definitely one of the easiest things to do is magnesium. Magnesium is awesome. It helps with anxiety. It helps kind of get you into this relaxation mode, kind of resetting some neurotransmitters that may help you go to sleep. There's several brands, and there's even some formulations of magnesium that come with a little bit of L-theanine and a little bit of melatonin. Now, melatonin is the one that we think of, kind of this natural occurring thing. A lot of people have tried it. A lot of people don't like it, and that's totally fine. A lot of people get really groggy on it if you take too high of a dose, like 10 milligrams. Some people feel worse. So maybe try a low dose if that's something that you're going to think about. And it doesn't have to be a long-term solution. We know that anytime you're putting something like a hormone in your body, it has the ability to kind of affect other places. So just be cognizant of that fact. But that's certainly a safe and generally pretty safe and effective, natural kind of alternative if you're having trouble going to sleep. If you've tried some of these over-counter solutions and feel like they're not working, there's certainly room to open the dialogue with your physician to talk about other medicines. Now, a lot of people say when we start talking sleep medicines, they start talking about drugs. They go, I don't want to be addicted. I don't want to be dependent. I don't want to take something that's sedating. And there's certainly a lot of sleep medicines that are not good. I am not a fan of Ambien. I think it really doesn't work to help people have quality, restorative sleep over time. And it has a lot of side effects. So in the worst bucket of medicine is these kind of benzodiazepine type drugs. That's if you're going to talk to your doctor, that's not the only option. There's a lot of medications that we use in the primary care setting a lot that have almost the side effect of making you a little bit sleepy or promoting the sleep by relaxing the mind that are not in and of themselves sleep medicines. So if you have other things going on, just have that dialogue with your physician about what are your options. You may be able to get kind of a really low-dose, simple one-pill solution that may help a couple other things in your life. So that's kind of the bridge after you've tried. You've tried chamomile tea, you've tried some over-the-counter stuff, and if it really not cutting it and you think you've got some issues, you did talk to your doctor. And probably the ultimate end of that, and this is all I'll say about it, is if you are waking up every morning after a pretty full night's sleep and you do not feel well rested and that makes you sleepy throughout the day, you need to talk to your doctor about a sleep study. It's way too easy in 2023 to have a home sleep test and at least peek in on that information to make sure that you don't have a condition that otherwise you could feel much better and be way more productive and more safe in your daily life for a very low risk input. So we'll talk a lot more about sleep, I'm sure. Thanks for listening, and we will be back with more high-quality healthcare information to affect your life positively so you can get out there and do what you need to do. Thanks.